welcome back to Salmon's Pizzeria Championship Roundup. We are back from the international break. No one else wanted to join me to gloat about Rafe beating Greenock Morton, but we're here, we're back, and it is just myself, Callum Kieran, and of course, Kieran Ashton. How are you, Kieran?
I'm all good. Good to be back on. Natural order has been resumed, just me and you, talking about shite championship football. Well, listen to shite for me this weekend. Spoiler alert. Don't know about you, Cal, mind you, you might have a completely different point of view on the results at the weekend. But nonetheless, delighted to be back on.
It's like we'll get to my important feelings in a bit, but of course, with the return of a full championship card, that of course means a return of Friday night football. And it was Partick Thistle against Airdrie. Both teams weren't playing last week due to call-ups. Well, I don't think Airdrie had any call-ups, but Thistle did have the free, so they were able to get their game postponed. I can't mind who Airdrie were meant to play, but yeah, their game got called off. But Thistle looking to get their third win in a row in the league. Meanwhile, Airdrie were looking for their first win. And Kieran, you were obviously at this game. How about you talk us through it?
For sure. I think heading into the game, I think with the mental not to back ourselves, getting our season back on track, so to speak. Got a quarter final. I should say a glamour tie in the League Cup. To look forward to. All the momentum surely heading towards us. Airdrie, they're not, I wouldn't say they're on good form, so to speak, heading into the game Friday night, and obviously their record against us at Firhill kind of speaks for itself. They hadn't beaten us prior to Friday night at Firhill since 2009. So I think all the luck was surely on our side heading into the game, and or the momentum heading into it. But Airdrie got off to the perfect start. We had really good goal for Callum Kieran, ex-Thistle, looked to come back to haunt us. We had a really good goal just for the edge of the box, and I think a Thistle fans that have seen him now, he had that in his locker, you know what I mean? And we shouldn't really be giving him that amount of space on the edge of the box. He's got a good shot on him. I thought he always has had a good shot on him, and I managed to get a shot away for a corner that's cleared for Airdrie and lands to him, and I managed to slot it past Josh Clark for their goal. And I thought the game itself, the first half was, pretty cagey, pretty scrappy. I thought Airdrie get right into our faces and were really nasty with their tackles. And the first half, I think Danny Lennon got his game plan to a T. Got down to a T, and I don't think we really had an answer for it. Yeah, we had a couple of chances in the first half. But Sosa came close for us just before half time, and at the time, I was probably quite harsh on him. I was saying to people that were around about me, that would listen really, saying that he probably should have scored that. But looking back on it, it was a really good save for Connolly, the Airdrie keeper, and it was a point blank range, so you probably could say still should have scored it, but nonetheless, it was a good save for the Airdrie keeper. We had a couple of chances again in the first half, but none really clear cut. I think that was the closest we came to busting the net, getting a goal in the first half. And Airdrie, I wouldn't say they blew us away, but they got their game plan spot on in the first half. They frustrated us certainly, and only kind of limited us to that kind of one shot really. And we had a couple of corners, but again they were headed over the bar. It wasn't anything exciting, so to speak. So second half comes, and again I don't think anything I know really happened again really. Again it was still cagey, still a cagey affair that it was in the first half, and until Chalmers had a shot in the 67th minute, but it just goes past the post, and you're starting to think yourself, you know what I mean, especially with the way we played in recent weeks, where we've been pretty fast and the way we were playing and that, and we've been proper in teams' faces and that, but we couldn't really get going for quite a bit of Friday night, and then I just thought it was going to be one of those nights until Wilson brought on subs, and um, he, in particular, Kyle Turner made the return. He's been out since I think it's just to the end of the season. He's just getting back now. It was his first game back, and came off the bench, and I thought he changed things. I thought he was absolutely excellent. On Friday night when he came on, he looked really handy. It was probably the best we've seen him in quite a while, and that's really good considering he's just back to injury too. And we finally get an equaliser on the 75th minute. Fitzpatrick puts in a great cross, and we were, if we looked if we looked at we were scoring for anywhere, it was coming for a set piece. The amount of times we were getting Fitzpatrick was floating crosses in for O'Reilly, and Dan O'Reilly or Ashcroft or whatever were getting on the end of them, but it just wasn't coming off. But then Fitzpatrick floats a great cross in for Dan O'Reilly at the back post to put his header past Connolly, and from there on, I felt the pendulum swung completely in our favour. If there was another team that looked to score, it was going to be us. And then so it did, and like 6 or 7 minutes later, Alex Samuel would then put Thistle in front and completely turn the game on its head. And he gets his first goal for the Jags for Thistle too, which is really good for him. He was very unlucky not to get his first goal up at Dingwall after he came on, but it was unfortunately disallowed. So finally, good to see him get on the front foot, so to speak, and get his first goal for the Jags. And I think he's a very handy player. Obviously, his goal record isn't too much to write home about. Sorry, but I think he looks really handy. I think he looks like a hard worker, which is all you can ask for really in a striker. Obviously, you would like him to put the ball in the back of the net more times than often, I think he puts himself about really well, and he got his just awards. Just latched on to a deflection from Kyle Turner. Kyle Turner had a shot and it got blocked by the edge defender, and Alex Samuel latched on it and instinctively put it away, put it past Connolly, and that was us 2-1 up, completely turned the game in his head. And then, other than that, really, Airdrie had some late pressure, a couple of balls in the box and that. I think we headed a few just off the line, but other than that, that was it. And we take the 3 points after what it seemed that it was going to be a very dogged win. A dogged affair, and I didn't see us personally. Winning the game, I said if we got the equaliser, right, suppose we'll take the draw. And it was just the way it was game. It was very, very cagey and scrappy, and I said, but we got the 3 points. Very hard fought 3 points, I thought. Some people would probably say it was a bit of a smash and grab, but I just felt that's the way the game panned out, really. I thought it was very, as I said, Airdrie got their heads a wee bit in the first half, and probably for the first 60 minutes or something like that, until we scored. But Milson certainly got his substitutions right. Even bringing on Lawless as well. I thought he looked really good too, but especially Kyle Turner. I thought it was really good, and it's great to see him back to his best, so to speak. And also that win sees us win a game after being behind at half time for the first time since December 2019, when we beat Queen of the South down at Palmerston 2-1. And again, that was 2 late goals we scored to win the game, and it's good to finally get that monkey off our back, because a stat like that is mental. To be honest, it's pretty mad. But it's finally good to get that to get out of the way. We put that to bed finally. But Airdrie still haven't beaten Thistle at Firhill since 2009, so happy days. Take that. Certainly move on. I would have liked to have gone into the game against Celtic, just after getting beat by Airdrie. So gives us a bit of get a bit of a boost heading into that, so to speak. But aye, brilliant start to the weekend for us, and aye, great result.
It's like, as you were saying about that, not winning a game after going down a goal since what was it, 2019? It's like,
2019, yeah. So it's the first time we went behind at half time. First time we won a game after being behind at half time. So, aye, mad,
I know
mad start.
it's like whenever Rafe have played Thistle, it's always been a case of um, if I mean, like I've always had like this feeling where it's a case of whoever scores first wins. But it's like I didn't realize that it was just a thing that Partick Thistle struggled with in general, coming from
Yeah,
behind. I didn't realize it was like we're nearly 6 years since he's done that.
yeah. I were talking. It's pre-COVID times since the last time we done that. So, aye, absolutely mental start. As I said, as both of us have said, and aye, it was. We're normally on the receiving end of that, where it's we go 1-0 up and then the team going, give us an absolute sickener and beat us 2-1, after us being up for 1-0. But it's good to, dish that out sometimes. So, but aye, mental start, and glad to finally put it to bed.
And also considering the start to the season that you guys had, it's been a good turnaround. You guys are now in amongst the batch of teams that are sitting on 10 points,
Yeah, aye,
and
definitely.
I had a
And
game in hand as
that,
well.
aye, as well, definitely. And that one put us in dreamland, so to speak. You could say we were top, joint top for like a day at least. Obviously, we're going to how the other results panned out over the weekend, but I certainly it gave us a bit of belief. After that humbling away to St Johnstone, I think I've spoke to death on here about that. But I don't particularly think we're bad. I just think St Johnstone absolutely schooled us, and they're probably the better team. Then we pretty locked at home after that, and pretty, I wouldn't say gutted, but pretty downhearted by the fact we've just drawn at home with Morton, a team we should be beating, especially at Firhill. So after that day two result, sorry, to come back and put ourselves right in amongst it, right up the playoffs early doors. It's good. It's really good. Been a pretty good turnaround, and it's been a pretty good turnaround. Sorry, and I think I've got to give credit to Mark Wilson and Alec Gray for that. I think they've got things spot on so far. Whether that's starting 11 when we've been doing great, but when we've not been playing so well, our subs have come on and turned it around, and that was certainly the case on Friday night. I felt so. I've got to give Alec Gray and especially Mark Wilson credit. Their credit's due. Obviously, we had the kind of when Alex Ray in particular was given the assistant manager, everyone was kind of like, why is he being given that? Like, it's a bit. We all had our opinions on him, and I, I've got to hold my hands up, and I think a lot of us fans have got to do the same and give credit where credit's due. I think they worked really well together, Wilson and Alec Ray. So, long may it continue. Hopefully, get ourselves further up the table too, and get ourselves right amongst it. Not saying we're title contenders yet, so to speak, but certainly if we give an early push, who knows what happens? Who knows what can happen?
It's like with Edry. I'm going to save talking about Edry to the end because there's a wider point that I want to talk about once we get to the end. But I suppose we'll move on to the big Saturday game, of course, being the top of the table clash between Reef and St Johnstone. Reef managed to do what St Johnstone couldn't last week and, got a win against Greenock Morton. We managed to get a win at Capillo. First time since Halloween 2 seasons ago, I think it was. We didn't even beat Morton last season. I think we got 2 draws and 2 losses last season. So good to get that monkey off the back as well. So, but Saints meanwhile they just had the week off. They had a bunch of players out for international duty. And going into this one, it wasn't a case of I wasn't quietly confident in the way of I think we will win. It was more a case of I think we can, but it will be very difficult, and it very much proved to be the case. It was a case of if we lose, it's not the end of the world. If we win, then we might end up with a season something like that Dundee United season where it's like we got the first. It's like the first time around we played against Dundee United, we played them at home, got a draw, played well, and it was at that point it was like, okay, there might be a bit of belief here. And then of course winning at Tannadice really just ramped it up. Whereas it sort of had that same feel to it going into it, where it's just like, maybe if we do get something out of this, there's something that could happen at the top end. With the way the game went, no, not happening. Reef had the first big chance with Lewis Vaughan at the back post with like a first time volley, which came from a first time cross from Portland Martin, which was wonderful, by the way. It was really good play from Reef. But unfortunately, he hits it over. And then 2 minutes later, Sean Burns on the ball in midfield. And the thing is, Sean Burns is someone who takes his time. It's something he does all the time, and he arguably takes more time than he needs to, but it works 99% of the time. Unfortunately, this was a 1% of the time where it didn't work out. And like the most like pinpoint pass that could have possibly been made in that situation was made to make Sidibe through on goal 1-on-1. And it's like it's Sidibe. He's a Premiership level player, and he slots it under Josh Ray. It's 1-0 St Johnstone, and it stayed that way for the first half. Again, Reef having a bunch of chances, and then second half was the same, where where you would see a volley at the back post first time go flying over, this time Dylan Easton, and then just another defensive clusterfuck, to put it lightly. So Josh McPake get played through to tap into an empty net, and it was a weird one. This is probably the most woke thing that I'm going to say, but I don't feel like any sort of disheartening feeling at all during that game over losing. It's like I wasn't gutted or whatever. It almost, it's like Reef played well. Reef played good football. We had more half chances, and we had those two big chances that we missed. If either of them are scored at the same points in the game, we could be talking about probably a draw or even a Reef win with how the game was going. But yeah, it was like a cup game. It's when you play a cup game against a Premiership team where it's like St Johnstone weren't great, but they didn't have to be, because they just have that extra level in quality, because that's a Premiership squad.
Yeah.
That's not a Championship squad. That is very much a Premiership squad, because they've got a bunch of players on their bench who would be like starters every day of the week for just about every other Championship team, and then it's like they're either not even the squad or they're on the bench and they barely get any minutes. It's like that squad is packed with talent. So it wasn't a case of St Johnstone making us pay for our two mistakes. And yeah, I think I've said before about how Saints have that potential, I feel, to do what Hearts did about a decade ago, where they got, I think it was something daft like 92 points or something. I'm not saying they're going to reach, they might reach 90 points, actually, come to think of it. But yeah, it's like 80 points. It's like they're walking this title. It's like with other results, it's like the other big competitive. It's like the other side who arguably have like the same resources, being Ross County. It's like thanks to other results, it's like Saints are now 10 points clear of them with a game in hand. It's no one's catching them. It's like this championship title is done already.
Aye, absolutely not, Cal. Just to kind of go on what you said, I felt certainly Rafe did have their chances to get into the game, and there was, whatever storm Rafe had, I think St Johnstone weathered it well, and as you said, they've just got that quality punish you. You know what I mean? In that first goal, Sean Byrne, as you said, he's just caught no man's land really, and he's a player that's you know not really very normal, composed on the ball. You know what I mean? And as you said, he kind of takes his time with it, and it works. But it just didn't. And St Johnstone are just going to make you punish every time. Um, when you make mistakes like that, they've just got that extra yard of pace, that extra bit of quality in their squad. Their team's absolutely packed. Still, it's got quality all over the field and even on the bench. You know what I mean? And I don't really see anybody else contending with them at the moment. And I know it's early days, but to be 10 points ahead with a game in hand this early on, I can only see it only going one way. And I think the manager as well is fantastic. Is it Valakari or something? Is that it?
Simo Valakari.
Yeah, excellent. I think he's absolutely excellent. Perfect fit for St Johnson too, with the way they play. And aye, I think quite a lot of credits actually got to go to him too. But St Johnson's I just don't see any other team challenging them at the moment. And they've just got quality all over the park, and I'm not going to. I think you've got to if you've just got to attack them straight away. You know what I mean? And if you let them just impose a game plan on you, you're done. You know what I mean? So I no, I think overall, I don't think Grace and yourself carry me to disheartened for that result. You know what I mean? As you said, it had like a cup game feel to it, and St Johnstone not by any means, but they were fantastic. But they've just got that quality to punish you and win the game. You know what I mean? Without even breaking a sweat, pretty much. They don't even have to come out of third gear to win comfortably. And I don't really see anybody catching them. I mean, the supposed title contenders are what 8 points behind them or something like that.
It's 10
Maybe
points.
10 points.
10
Aye,
points. So even if it's like Ross County and St John's still have to play each other 3 more times, Ross County
ah,
could win those 3 games and still be
yeah,
behind them.
yeah, aye. It's absolutely mad to think about. Sometimes some people probably had at the start of the season had that completely flipped, where you think maybe St Johnstone would struggle and County would be up, as they normally do when they come down back to the championship. But I think St Johnstone. I mean, I think we're saying it for 2 weeks now, maybe 3 weeks now, been on the pod.
Who
But
were we seeing it after the first game?
yeah,
Like we saw
uh,
that 5-1. It's just like obviously
aye.
it's like we all put Thistle to be in like the playoff spots, and then we just seen that 5-1 out. It's like, oh god, we're in so much trouble.
Uh, I think as Enzo said a couple of weeks ago, just harking back to that, maybe 3 weeks ago when I was on the pod, the worst thing we could have done that day was go 1-0 up, but it just tangled them. And even then, before we went 1-0 up, we hit them completely on the counter attack. But before we just went 1-0 up, Budenaukas kept us in the game. It could have been 2 or 3 before we even went 1-0 up. You know what I mean? So it just shows you how good they are. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? That's what it is. You know what I mean? For a Ray fan, you've just got to dust yourself down. You know what I mean? And get um, get go on to the next day, go on to the next game. You know what I mean? But aye, it's dream start for St Johnstone, and they'll be delighted because it was a really shit season for them last season. So they'll be glad to kind of finally get a bit of happiness. So,
Yeah, it's like for Rafe, it's like like we mentioned, just treat it as a cup game, move on. Like we played well. Like, any other if we play a team that isn't St Johnston, and we
no,
play like we did, I would say we probably win that 2-0.
no,
But it's like Josh Ray didn't really have much to do. Like it's like St Johnston only he only really made like a proper save once, and my god, it was a good save from the free kick early in the second half. But it's like there was like a 10-minute spell at the beginning of that second half where Saints actually like turned up to say the least, like looked like the side that can just very much pump everyone. But so yeah, it's like yeah, just move on to next week. We do what we do against Airdrie, and we're comfortable winners. I feel like we
Definitely.
restricted St Johnstone to just those two big chances, really. So yeah, just is what it is. But moving on to the other Tay side, it's not Tay side. I just wanted to make that joke. Cal's not here, but yeah, moving down the Tay and into the North Sea, we have Arbroath at home to Dunfermline. Arbroath last week managed to get a last-minute winner away at Tony Docherty's Ross County. Meanwhile, Dunfermline again, 3 players out on international duty, so no game for them. And this was very much the Andy Todd show. Um, he got it's like after being played through in the box, about 20 minutes in, his shot manages to wrong foot the goalkeeper. I don't know if it was just the shot itself, whether it bobbled before he hit it. It just looked clumsy, but well placed at the same time.
Definitely.
The way it wrong footed the keeper. But that gave Dunfermline the lead. Both had a couple of chances to equalise. It's like there was a period where they had like 3 corners in a row or something like that. But probably the best of the bunch would have been when the ball came across and Todorov was there, edge of the 6-yard box. But again, with the surface, with it bobbling, he just hits it over. And as mentioned with the Wraith game, if that goes in, it could very much be a very different game. Because Arbroath weren't bad in that first half.
No.
You know, it's like they had their half chances, they had their chances, but again, Zach Rudden cross just before half time finds Andy Todd, make it 2-0 in added time, and then second half just it was all done for him in that second half.
Definitely.
Like, Arbroath did not really have anything beyond a half chance. Again, Andy Todd played through. Well, not played through his ball across, and he's there. But it's like if he's not getting to it, Zach Rudden is. That was a goal. That was going to be a goal no matter who got to that one. But yeah, Andy Todd manages to get a hat trick, and I think that might be the first hat trick of the season in the championship. So fair play to him. And yeah, and then later on, not long after, quick free kick from Dunfermline's half finds Todd again, who then ends up crossing it in for Zach Rudden. He makes it 4. And then a ball flicked over the top of the Arbroath defence from Rudden finds Rory McLeod, who makes it 5. And the thing is, it's like this: the way that second half went, like some of the chances Dunfermline had after it could have been 6. Could have been 6 or 7 that game. But it's like Dunfermline, it's their second win of the season. And meanwhile, for Arbroath, it's their second defeat. Then it brings Dunfermline very much into the playoff conversation. Any thoughts on how this game played out?
I think you've just nailed on the head. Looking at the first half, if you see the score and then you look at the first half, you would think that there's never a 5-0 game. You know what I mean? Up until Pars got their second just before half time, but Arbroath had their chances to get back into it in the first half after Pars took the lead, and but that second goal in that just before half time just killed Arbroath. Kind of deflated them, so to speak. And then 13 minutes into the second half, in Arbroath, they're 3-0 down, and that's before you know it, it's 4. And if they never had a mountain to climb at 3-0, even 2-0 down before half time, certainly got a mount to climb, and then it's 5-0, and as you say, it could have been 6, maybe even 7 for Pars. They were really clinical. And I think that's just the difference between the both teams. Pars were clinical, and Arbroath passed up too many chances to get back into the game in the first half. And I thought, looking at the highlights, I thought Zach Grodden actually looked really good. And obviously started the show, started Andy Todd getting his hat trick. But aye, that's finally, Pars here. That's their season up and running now. I mean, to contrast that between that game and the Fife Derby, two completely different Pars teams. Pars looked lost, I felt at times, against Rafe in the Fife Derby a couple of weeks ago. I don't think they had that cutting edge really, and they never really got in it until they were like 2-0 down. But this game, they just blew Arbroath apart. Like, let's be real here. I don't think Arbroath could really touch them, as you said, apart from their chances in the first half. They just couldn't finish it, other than Pars punched them. And fantastic result for Pars. Certainly puts them in the playoff conversation now, you've got to say. But the one thing is, with Dunfermline, it always has been, is they're just far too inconsistent, and before you know it, they'll go on a run, a wee bit of a run, maybe 3-4 wins, winning games, and then they'll just go on a bad run, and that's them out the playoff run. You know what I mean? I just feel it's the story. It's been the story of their season for, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons now. But hopefully, I mean, if you're of the Bremer's persuasion, hopefully, you finally want to kick on for that. You know what I mean? But you've just got to be consistent with it. That's what this league's all about. You've got to be consistent to give yourself a chance at anything, really. So, but it's a massive scare for Arbroath now. Massive scare for who I thought they were doing all right. You know what I mean? I think were the joint top players heading into Saturday, unless
They were part. They were part of the 10-point gang.
Yeah. And I thought they were doing pretty well. Obviously, they get that fantastic result away up at Dingwall last week, and when all the other teams are there were they playing. But you think maybe then, maybe even they could kind of push on for the playoffs and be into the playoff conversation. But that's a massive, massive scare for Arbroath now, and hopefully you'd be thinking, at least from an Arbroath point of view, that hopefully that's just a one-off. You know what I mean? But shipping 5 goals like that at home, especially at a place like Gayfield, that is traditionally a really tough place to go to, and the conditions do that for them. You know what I mean? It's traditionally a tough place to go to, as I said, but losing 5 goals like that is piss poor for them, really, and especially you're just back up as well. You want to make your home ground a fortress. You know what I mean? And to lose 5 goals like that is pretty poor, all things considered. You know what I mean? So they'd be hoping you can not do that again, so to speak. But I know, fantastic result for Dunfermline nonetheless, and you would like to think that's their season up and running.
Yeah, it's like with Arbroath, it's like the wins so far, they've come from being clinical.
Yeah.
And that's where their points have come from.
Yeah.
Especially against Queen's Park, when I think they won 3-0 or 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just 3 well-taken goals. And I felt like how the season was going to play out for them. It was a case of, with their squad, they've come up from League One, they're part-time, they've got these players. It was always going to be a case of take your chances. And they've proven well up until this game. Yeah. It's just, as I say, it's like that chance from Todorov where he's 6 yards out. If that goes in, then it's like that's an equaliser. That game doesn't finish 5-1.
No, definitely not. It puts Dunfermline on the back foot and spurs Arbroath on, especially being the host. But it's just it's mad how things like that can change in the league. You know what I mean? One team has one chance and can then go on to win it. They miss it and then they get pumped 5-0. You know what I mean? It's mental, but aye, definitely. I'm looking forward to my trip up to Arbroath anyway. I love it, so aye, can't wait for that.
And then I suppose we'll move on to Ayrshire for what has probably the biggest distance between teams in the division, geographically wise anyway. Maybe not the biggest distance when it comes to term equality if we're going by this game. We do, of course, have Ayr at home to Ross County. Both sides still looking for their first wins of the season, and this is Tony Docherty's first away game in charge of Ross County. And during the week, they also announced that Callum Davidson was coming in as assistant manager, one of the assistant managers alongside John Robertson. Your thoughts on the Callum Davidson appointment as well?
I think it's a really good appointment. Fantastic appointment, really, to have not only Tony Docherty as your manager, but Callum Davidson as your assistant. I mean, whether it works out for him or not, the jury's still out on them. But obviously we're going to talk about the game. But I think it's a really good appointment. Massive, pretty good coup for them, and you would like to think that 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 appointment would spur them on, but and get their season under. But obviously, as we're going to talk about the game, the jury's still out. But nonetheless, I seen that and I was like, Christ, I mean that's good. That's a really good appointment. I felt. I don't know what your thoughts are on the appointment, Callum, but I think it's really good for County to go out and get an appointment like that.
Yeah, it was one of surprise because the thing is, it's like he was linked with the main managerial job.
Yeah,
It's like arguably the top two options were Tony Dock and Callum Davidson. So to get both of them in as a management team is a really good piece of business. But it's the way this Ross County season has started is that a lot of the stuff off the pitch has been a statement of intent, and we're like,
no,
okay, that's really good. That's really good business. But then on the pitch, it's just naff, to put it lightly.
definitely.
This game was very much naff as well because it started off with Air very quickly taking the lead. Ball comes across, falls to Ethan Walker, who was just unmarked at the
No,
back post, edge of the 6 yard box. So he just taps it in. That's 2 minutes into the game. And then nothing really happened in the first
no,
half. It's like the Air United minutes, the Air United highlights were like 6 minutes, and there wasn't much beyond corners
mm,
for either team.
no,
And then second half, so County get an equaliser where the ball again just bundles towards the back post. Jay Henderson's there, he taps it away, and aside from a Curtis Main goal, which would get chalked off offside, which I had to watch a couple of times back just to see, wait, was it
yeah,
offside? And then see, okay, yeah, it's offside. But yeah, again, just a game of nothingness. Like this, it's like the highlights package was like 6.5 minutes long. You have like a 15-20 second intro, and then like the first 30 seconds showing like the team sheets or whatever, and then there was another minute towards the end where it was showing Anton Dowds coming on. Like I think it might be his first game since
I
like
think that's his first game back since. I think that's we played them in September, so I think it's been at least a year he's been out because he
aye,
scored against us. I think he scored
scored
a
against us
penalty
as well. I think.
against us. At Somerset, and I think that was the last time he played. And I don't know how he's been out. I don't know what injury he's had for being out for that long. But I suppose as an air standpoint, good to see him back on the pitch. You know what I mean? But I think that's a player they've been desperately missing. Somebody that can put the ball in the back of the net. Um, but it's mad to think he's been out for that long.
But it's like it's like once he gets up to match fitness, he'll be a massive asset
Definitely.
for Air. He's very much like on his day, he's one of the top players in the championship. But yeah, it's like with the way this game has gone, it's like if a player coming on as a substitute is taking up like 20% of your highlights package, then that just tells you that just tells you what this game was like. It was those two goals and
Definitely.
then nothing.
Aye.
Really, really not much. But with that result, again, both teams still winless. But Ross County are off the bottom of the table. Uncle Roy, your millions are doing wonders. The Callum Davidson effect is here, boys.
I know, definitely. Just to kind of touch on that. I mean, I probably, definitely a fair result in the end of the road. I think either team kind of deserved to win, really. I thought Ayr United played some decent stuff, but wasn't really anything to write home about. And again, I think it's both teams just conceding pretty piss poor goals. Really, it's just tap ins really, and especially that county goal. It's just an open net for Jay Henderson to tap in. You know what I mean? And I don't think the draw helped either team whatsoever. And both of them are probably looking to get a win and kickstart their season. But definitely, and who knows? I think there's talk of Brown still being under serious pressure too, and I'd like to get your thoughts on that, Callum. Brown still under serious pressure. I mean, again, they're still winless in the league. You know what I mean? And certainly he's surely under some pressure.
Yeah, it's like when you consider the investment that's been made in the 2 summers that he's been at the club to be at this stage of the season, 5 games in, and they've got 4 draws and a loss. It's and it's that lack of cutting edge that they've had really, because it's like they've had good passages of play, but they've just been again that lacking that cutting edge.
Mhm.
So maybe with Anton Dowds, once he's back into full fitness, then it could all change. But
Definitely.
from what we've seen so far, like having seen them in person and in these highlights, there's just some nothingness to them so far.
Definitely. I'll just kind of hit the nail on the head, same as you. I even when we played at the Firhill in the League Cup, you know, what I mean, you'd think they'd turn up for that. It's a cup game, you know, there's a chance to get one step closer to Hampden, get themselves into the quarter final, and they didn't turn up at all. Um, Probably the most comfortable 2-0 win I've seen. And by any means, I don't think we were fantastic. They probably could have scored more that day, but Ayr just didn't turn up, didn't look good at all, looked toothless up top. And maybe you could put that down to Anton Dowd's been out for so long, but they've got Curtis Main there, who he's he's had how many seasons in the top flight? You know what I mean? He's should be doing better at this level, and you shouldn't really be relying on Anton Dowd. You know what I mean? To kind of get your season on track. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I hopefully, if you're of the United persuasion, you know what I mean, you'd be hope that Anton Dowd's return is the turning point that you need. But relying on a striker that has been out for about a year, well, over a year, I think, just over a year, certainly bleak times for the honest.
Yeah, it's like as well as Dowds, George Oakley also came off the bench. So I'm trying to remember if he's been injured or not this season. But it's like looking at this bench here, as mentioned, Dowds and Oakley both came on, and then players who didn't come on, Dom Thomas and Marco Roos. Marco Roos had a good start to last season, but yeah, maybe it is just a fitness issue, and in the coming weeks we'll see a bit more like the side they were last season. But like as we've been saying, it's Scott Brown's under pressure for a reason.
Definitely.
And It's like with Ross County, again, just the goals that they've been conceding have just been terrible defending. And see, it's like with last week, I should have got one of the Dundee boys on to talk about Tony Docherty because last week's result out of Arbroath was very Tony Dock, like conceding a last minute winner. It's like his Dundee side were notorious for conceding late goals. And it's like, I believe Dundee had the worst defence in the league last season. And so it's like when we've already made fun of County's comical defending at times. And so maybe this is what Davidson's in for to help with the defensive side of things, because it's like that Dundee side were entertaining. They were very good going forward for vast patches of the game, but at the end, like the defense would just collapse very often. So that's probably what Davidson's role will be, just to bring some solidity in defense. So yeah, it's like it's 2 games in for Tony Docherty and Callum Davidson. It's like it's not like he's had a transfer window to bring players in. Granted, the loan window's still open. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes under those two. And moving on to the final game, saving the not best till last. We have Queen's Park at home against Greenock Morton. Again, both teams winless. Queen's Park didn't have a game because I believe they were meant to play Partick Thistle. Yeah,
Yes,
they were
we
meant
were
to play
supposed to
Thistle
play them at Leicester Hampton, but that's been moved to a Tuesday night now. I will not be there.
because you won't be able to get tickets. But yeah, it's like Queen's Park, as mentioned, we're meant to play Thistle last week, but international call-ups, whilst again Morton, they ended their drawing run, we'll put it that way. But it's gone from an unbeaten run to a winless run as they lost 1-0 to Rafe in what was a deserved defeat. Like no controversial decision whatsoever. God, that would have been fun. Fun for me to talk about that game. If Aiden was on, it would have just been an hour of us complaining about Lloyd Wilson. But yeah, it's a sold out. I mean, not difficult, but also a very wet Lesser Hampden at times. They saw a game of football. That's all I can really say about this. Like, aside from there was a chance in the second half of Queen's Park, which was probably the best one. Fowler gets the ball on the left and manages to get past a few players, and he's got like this nice opportunity for a shot on goal. It's like that right side of the goal was wide open for him, and it just whoosh, like way over, way wide. Just terrible, terrible execution. Very much summed up the game. There was nothing.
Aye, definitely. It just lacked cutting edge. So to speak, I think teams had, I wouldn't even call them chances, I would say half chances. I mean, Morton, I thought if they looked like winning it in the kind of later stages of the game towards the end, you could say it was them with the amount of pressure they had and the amount of kind of crosses into the box that they had towards the end. But I thought that there was nothing really. Queen's Park had a few sort of half chances as well, but it was just wasn't a good game of wasn't a good game of football. Very stuffy, very dogged, just lacking quality there. I think you've just hit the nail on the head with the game there, Cal. Pretty much.
But yeah, I suppose with that, it's the only thing we can say is, well, another bunch of teams that are still winless, and it is interesting the fact that we're 5 or 6 games in for some teams, and half the teams still haven't won. It's very unusual. This one is like we're seeing a gap form already. It's like you got the teams in the playoffs, on 10 points, and Johnstone are on 13, and then you got Dunfermline on 8. And then it drops to Morton on 5, Ayr, Queen's Park 4, Ross County 3, Airdrie 2. It's like we normally do get to a point. There's usually a point around about a third of the way halfway through the season where you start to see the league settle into groups where you'll have it'll usually be 2 or 3 where it's just a case of right we've got a well it's usually 3 because it's a case of right you've got like your top 3 your teams that are actually going to be like fighting for the you got your top 2 or 3 who are fighting for the title, third, fourth, fifth, and maybe sixth fighting for the playoffs, and then seventh, eighth, and down there with like the relegation scrap. We're already split in 2, aren't we? We're already split in 2. It's a case of St Johnstone. Well, yes, right now they don't have a big lead. It's only 3 points, and again, Thistle and Saints on 5 games, 13 and 10 points. You know they could change. But with the way St Johnstone are going, they're just buggering off. So that leaves the playoff spots, which we very much right now have 4 teams. You know, it's like Wraith, Thistle, like probably look the best out of the teams, and Arbroath's a weird one because when you look at their results, I believe. Let me see. Where did I find their results? Hold on. Trying to think. It's like they beat Queen's Park, they beat Airdrie, and they beat Ross County. And
drew with Ayr United on opening day.
It's like they draw against Ayr, and it's like their losses have been to St Johnstone and Dunfermline. So 2 teams that are very much top half of the table right now.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's an Arbroath factor, where it's just like if you get beat by Arbroath, that's it. You're in the bottom group, and then. But yeah, it's one of the weirdest starts to a championship season because usually it is a bit chaotic. It's a bit of a mess to start off with. Everyone's got to win against each other somehow. It's like last season was very much that. Aside from, I was about to say aside from Airdrie, but they won the first game of the season, didn't they? I don't want to talk about that, but it's like it's so weird. Like we're in the middle of September, 5 teams are still winless.
It's wild, as you said, there's gap. Normally, there's kind of gaps starting to appear, as you said, probably around about Christmas, January time, just after New Year. Gaps kind of start to appear, and the table starts to kind of form its own, like, 3 mini leagues, so to speak. But for especially teams like County to be, 10 points behind their supposed, like, contenders, pre season. It's nuts. I would have not envisaged that. I thought either one of them were going to kind of struggle before the game, struggle with a drop back down into the league. But I didn't envisage it to be this bad, especially for County. So it's nuts. But my team, it's not my team that's suffering down the bottom of the league, so I'll take that.
It's like you look at it, and it's like Ayr and Ross County have been massive underachievers so far. You know,
probably the biggest in the championship, really. Massive underachievers. I mean, you'd expect Queen's Park to be down there, especially how they were last season. Airdrie, yeah, I mean, you'd probably expect them to kind of not be bottom with how they ended last season. You'd think the momentum would probably change, but I suppose they're probably one of the smallest teams in the division. All offence meant, but Ayr United, especially the money they've spent, and also Ross County as well, the money they've got behind them, and the investment they've got behind them, massively underachieving. I put Ayr United second, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? So, in my predictions, so I'm starting to look like a right mug, but I can you still use the excuse that it's still early days, 6 games in now? I don't know when that starts to become like not an acceptable excuse anymore. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, it's like
Aye.
Queens will have had at minimum 9 or 10 competitive games
Yeah.
plus pre-season,
Yeah.
and it's like granted, it's like the League Cup sometimes feels like this weird middle ground between pre-season and competitive games, but it is it's like Adri had this sort of start last season where it's like they got their win against Reef and then just didn't get anything until January or something daft like that. Queen's Park had the end to last season that they did. So for it to be like, so for them two to be down here, like you say, it's no surprise. Morton aren't probably they're probably fine.
Mm.
Really, you know, it's like yeah, we got that win against them, but and it's like they didn't look good, but teams have looked worse than that Morton team. Like,
Definitely.
you know, it's like Morton are just going to be fine as they always are. I don't think they've got much to worry about. Ross County again. It's like if it was still Duncarry in charge, then yeah, big alarm bells. But
Mm.
as mentioned, new management team just in. Adri again, Danny Lennon. This was his second game, I think. Yeah, it would have been because they didn't play last week. Queens Park didn't play last week, and we all know about the challenges that they have behind the scenes. But yeah, it's like Aaron Ross County, big underachievers, and it's like I see them coming up, moving their way up through the table. But with how it started with the top five, you know, it's like looking at that top five, the only positions that I can possibly see changing are Arbroath and Dunfermline. And it's like this that table could for the top five could look the same at the end of the season, and I don't think people will have much complaint, judging by how each team has started. Like it's it's very strange.
Definitely. But that's the thing. I don't think even 5 games in, the gaps that started forming in the championship, no one's safe. Really, teams can go on mental runs. Who knows? Fucking Ross County could get their act together finally, and Ayr could get their act together and get like 3 points in there, right by 3 wins, sorry, and they're right back at they're right in amongst it, and we could go on to those 3 games, or our bro could slip up after their pumping, and they could fall down the league. You know what I mean? And it's a mad league. You know what I mean? You're 3 wins away from being top of the league, or 3 losses away from being facing relegation. You know what I mean? Early doors. It's a mad league, but I for gaps to be forming at this point in the league already, it's certainly strange. It's kind of weird territory. They're not really used to that, but aye,
Yeah,
who knows?
it's just the size of the gaps because usually it's very incremental,
Mhm.
but it's just the fact that it's Arbroath in fourth and then Morton in sixth. It's 5 points after 5 games, 5 or 6 games. But yeah, it's like, but yeah, it's like well as mentioned, league table, Saints top on 13 for 5 games, and it's Rafe, Thistle, Arbroath on 10, Thistle with the game in hand. Pars on 8 points, game in hand. Morton, 5 points. You know, they don't have that. You know, they ruined their Morton record with that loss against us. You know, but yeah, Aaron Queens Park, both on 5 games and 4 points. Ross County with 6 games on 3 points, and then Airdrie game in hand on 2 with 5. But suppose we'll look on to next week's fixtures where because of Partick Thistle playing in the League Cup against Celtic, we do not have a full card of fixtures. However, we still have Friday night action as we have St Johnstone against Dunfermline, and then the Saturday games you've got Ross County at home to Queens Park, which has somehow become a relegation scrap game. Imagine saying that at the beginning of the season. Arbroath against Morton, and then of course Airdrie against Rafe, where Airdrie will get their first win of the season because it's Airdrie and Rafe. Although Agent Danny Lennon, I'm not suggesting we're on a popular, but but yeah, no Partick Thistle. You guys have you play on a Sunday, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, we play on a Sunday. Bigger fish to fry. quarter final at home to Celtic. I know it's championship football, strictly speaking, but um, I've got a wee. Like, I'm not going to say I've got a wee bit of hope. We'll end up getting slapped about 5-0. Now I've said that, but now I've said that live and on an open mic. But I don't know. The John Lambie stands sold out, so that'll be good at least. I think there might be a TIFO plan as well. I've heard murmurings of that, so aye. Nonetheless, um, looking forward to it. Maybe I should have said that. I'm not looking forward to a pumping, but the way Celtic have been playing, I don't think they've got anything to fear, to be honest. But who knows? I mean, the golfing quality's there. You know what I mean? It's there in abundance.
It's like you got nothing to lose.
No, nothing to lose, everything to gain. You know, I wouldn't say it's a free hit 'cause it's a quarter final. It's a game away for say game away for Hampden. That's don't think that's ever a free hit, but if they come out unscathed, maybe gain them a bit of a scare, potentially even take them the extra time. I'll take it. But nonetheless, looking forward to it. Gutted it's not a Saturday. Gutted it's not a Saturday night kick-off and it's a half arena Sunday, but as what it is. But you enjoy your championship football next week, Cal.
I'm sure I will enjoy my trip to Airdrie, which I don't think has been set by anyone before. I was meaning to ask, it's like, what's the seating arrangement for that game? Because I mind it got put up to a fan vote.
So there was two options. It was give Celtic the main stand, the Colin Weir stand, which was about 2,000 tickets, and I voted for that because fuck the offer. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, but there's a whole basic reasoning by why Rangers and Celtic fans can't get that stand. It's because it's made of wood, and you know they're prone to like their pyrotechnics, so to speak. They set that off, it's going to burn down. So there was a whole police thing that even when we were in the top flight before we got promoted, we basically said no, we can't put them in there. So that was the first option. Second option is give them a Jackie Osborne stand, which is I think it's about 5,000 tickets. That was the vote that won, unfortunately. But I can see why people voted for it. I think financially, well, I mean, we seem to be doing okay, but I there's good arguments for and against, and I can understand why people voted for it. You know, the financial aspect, but I'm just glad we never gave them the North Stand. You know, I mean, I'm glad we never gave them two.
I was going to say that is very much the Fessel stand.
Yeah, aye, definitely. And we've done it when we played them. We played them in the, I think it was the fifth round, just before COVID. I think it was like January 2020, February 2020. I'm not entirely sure, but we played them in the Scottish Cup, and we gave them both stands for that. We were in the Colin Weir, and by all accounts, I wasn't there that night. It was brutal. It was absolutely horrendous. So, so I think the arrangements is they're in the Jack Osmond stand, so it's about 5,000 tickets to get. So I mean, I suppose it makes it a home game for them, you could say, but no, I think the feeling amongst the Thistle fans they're right up for it. You've got to be your North Stand sold out. You know what I mean? It's a quarter final, and it's a chance to pump one of the ugly sisters. So
It's good that the allocation split was put to a fan vote. That's something
definitely. I'm glad that was done.
A lot of boards would just take the easy money and just be like,
Definitely.
you're getting the big stand, you get the money in. But
definitely. I'm kind of glad it was put up to us and it wasn't made by the police or you know by the board. But we are fan owned at the end of the day, so it should have been a decision made by the fans. So and we got a lot of credit from fans, but I think even Celtic fans are. I think they're a bit jealous that our board's a bit more transparent than theirs at the moment. I've seen a few comments like that, but I know it was good. It was good the way they were open about it. I just would have loved the game in the main stand to see. Would have been absolutely fantastic. But as what it is, and I look forward to Sunday. I say we waited breath.
Alright, so before this ends up becoming a League Cup preview podcast, I suppose we should probably end it here. So, of course, if you have somehow made it this far, then thank you very much for watching slash listening. And yeah, with very much a full card of mostly full card of fixtures, we definitely will be back next week. So, yeah, it's bye from us.